Hi. One of the questions I get from a lot of attorneys are how much can I spend on my law firm marketing? They're not sure exactly how much to budget and how much they can actually spend in order to get clients online. Well, in today's broadcast, I'm going to go into that topic and show you a formula that you can use as an attorney or a law firm to determine exactly how much you can spend on your law firm marketing. Now, there's one quote when I think of spending on marketing that really comes to mind. And let's jump right into the slides here so you can see. But it's a quote from Dan Kennedy. And Dan Kennedy was a very famous internet marketing expert. He worked a lot in direct mail and then moved into internet marketing. But one of his quotes was, "The business that can spend the most to acquire a customer wins." Now, if you think about that, pretty much makes sense because if you've got businesses that are out there competing for clients or customers, the one that can spend the most to acquire that customer is naturally going to win the battle to get that customer. So you need to think about that from the standpoint of your law firm and maybe competitive law firms that you are competing with for clients, and understanding what are they doing with regard to their marketing and what are they spending with regard to their marketing, to start brainstorming some ideas on how much you should be spending. And just talking to other attorneys about what they're spending on their marketing and budgeting is a good way to at least get your wheels turning and thinking about how much of a budget you want to set for your law firm marketing. But when you're thinking about how much you can spend to get a client, um, one of the things you obviously need to think about is, what is the practice area that you're working in? I mean, if you are maybe a DWI attorney, you obviously are going to, have clients who are paying you a certain amount of money, and personal injury attorneys may have a different client group that could bring in potentially more money than other types of attorneys. So your practice area that you're working in is going to make a difference on what you can spend to acquire a client. And that's why oftentimes you see a lot of personal injury attorneys doing, online marketing, TV commercials, radio ads, because for them, generally, a client can mean a whole lot of revenue and a whole lot of money to those attorneys that are doing the marketing. So they're willing to go out there and spend the money. But when you think about online marketing and digital marketing, I want you to always remember, it doesn't matter what type of practice area you're in. You can see just a short list here on this slide of different attorney types. But no matter what type of attorney you are or your practice area is that you're working in, online marketing and digital marketing will work for you and for your law firm. So don't ever think that it won't work for me. Now, again, when you're thinking about how much can I spend? So, as you see here, there may be a criminal attorney, maybe personal injury attorneys that deal with slip and fall cases, potentially car accident cases. But the first part of the formula that I want you to think about is not how much can I spend, but how much is a client worth to you and your law firm. Now, probably most attorneys that are out there, if you're watching this video, you've never really sat down and thought and computed in actual dollars how much you think a client is worth to your firm. Oftentimes, I work with attorneys and they say, well, I charge X amount of dollars per case. Well, that's the start. But look at this. When you're thinking about how much a client is worth to you, you want to think about the average lifetime value of that client. Don't think just about what that individual client or that company pays to your law firm on an annual basis, but think about the lifetime value. So if you bring a client in, over the lifetime of that client, what revenues are they going to directly generate for your law firm? So that would be the first aspect of the client payments, the actual direct revenues. But you also have to think about the client referrals. So if you have a client that not only is paying you, but maybe referring other businesses or other people to your law firm, then that's an additional value that you should put on that lifetime client value. And think about an average. I mean, every client who comes in the door may not refer business to you, but on average, let's say 1 in 5 clients will refer another client. So try to put a value on that and then add it to the payments. Then also think about from a standpoint of just testimonial. If you have clients that are willing to give you testimonials about the work that you've done and your law firm's reputation, that's going to help you in your marketing. So you also want to add a value to that. So let's just do a quick example. So let's say you had a practice area where a client came in the door, and over the average lifetime of that client, they're going to directly pay to your firm $50,000 in legal fees. Well, you start with that number. And then if they maybe referred you another client that on average would bring you in about $40,000, then you would add that to the bottom line. And then you'd put a value on maybe a testimonial that a client would give you for your marketing purposes and for then bringing in additional clients. So over the lifetime value on this example, you would have $100,000 that this client would mean to your firm. So you have to think outside the box, not just with regard to the direct revenues that are coming in, but what is the average lifetime value when you take into account all these different buckets? Now, when you think about then, how much can I spend? Well, would you spend the full $100,000 to bring in $100,000? Probably not. So you want to think about this from the standpoint of, okay, if the average lifetime value in this example is $100,000, and then you have to think about, okay, what do I want to keep? What do I want in my pocket as far as profits, margins, the percentages? You have overhead costs, things like that. A lot of those things you're going to need to just factor in to figure out what's the cost to run your firm and what you want in profits. And that starts to get you to the actual formula for spending. So the amount to spend would be equal to the average lifetime value of the client minus the amount you need to keep for your own profits as well as for overhead. And then there's another cost that we're not going to talk about today, but if you tune in for our broadcast tomorrow, I'm going to complete this formula for you because there's an additional factor that you need to think about from the standpoint of acquiring clients to determine what is the overall formula for spending. And then you will know how much can you spend for your attorney marketing. So I hope that gives you a starter to start thinking about the numbers that you need to think about from your firm's standpoint and your practice area standpoint on how much you can spend on your legal marketing. But you need to ensure that you are doing legal marketing. Don't wait until all the clients dry up or you're in real need of business. You should always be marketing your firm and your practice area so that you're never worried about where the next client is coming from. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you're watching this video on YouTube, I hope you'll hit subscribe and subscribe to the channel. We put out more videos each day. If you're watching it on Facebook, that's great. Please like our page and leave a comment if you have some questions or anything that you're thinking about as far as what you'd like to know in your legal marketing. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to check out the resources below the video. We've got a lot of links in there where you can connect with us online, as well as some free downloads to help you and your law firm. Thanks a lot. I hope you have a blessed day.